Hello, Joshy the Star Wars guy here, and I'm here doing my very first video, and it's going to be a review slash Easter egg video of Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Now, I do apologize, this is my first video, so the sound quality may not be quite what I want it to be, because this is my first video, and two, I'm trying to get it out there fairly quickly, because try to beat as many people as possible to reviewing this video. I know a lot of people have, and a lot of people have even made Easter egg videos, but none of them has mentioned some Easter eggs and little connections to other things that I have, and I've only viewed it once, so I'm hoping not to try to brag, but talk about how I really need a life. But yeah, so I do apologize, sound qualities and stuff's not quite up to par, but I'm just trying to get it out there as quickly as possible. So, interesting fact, I originally planned on making my first video a Force Awakens review video, but I never really quite got around to making that, for some reason. So, but it's almost a whole year later, so I'm here to do my review slash Easter egg video of Star Wars, or Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So first off, there will be spoilers, but later on. I'll give you plenty of warning before I start spoiling and going into the Easter egg aspect. But I'm going to start off with a review. From a Star Wars standpoint, it is awesome. It is one of the best Star Wars stories yet. It is pure nostalgia, and I love it, and it's just awesome. But from a movie aspect, it's good, but it's not great. It could have been better. The first 10 to 15 minutes seem really forced and kind of way that where it jumped from different places really quickly. It was really forced, really rushed, trying to introduce you to all the characters, which I understand, having to get the importance of introducing all the characters in different places, especially in a big Star Wars film like this, but it could have been solved fairly easily by having a opening crawl. Now, I understand why they didn't have an opening crawl, because they wanted it to stand out from the saga, to show that this isn't one of the normal episodes, this is a stand-alone film. But most of my complaints about the movie could have been easily solved through the crawl. But the movie's good, the casting is really good. When it comes to casting, probably one of my only complaints is Forrest Whitaker's Saw Gerrera. Not that he exactly did a bad job portraying him. I think he did a good job. It's just the writing that they used with him, it just could have been done better. But not to his fault, but to the screenplay writer. But then I also understand a lot of things had to be reshot really quickly, so I can understand. It's a good movie. From a movie technical standpoint, it's a good movie, but not great. Now, spoiler warning. If you do not want anything spoiled, leave now. But before you leave, I would ask you to please, if you enjoyed the video, like and share, and subscribe. Okay, now to the Easter egg. Warning again. Repeat again. Spoilers now. Okay, one of my favorite parts. Well, I'll start off with cameos. And one of the first cameos you see is Mr. I'm wanted on so many systems. I have the death penalty on so many systems. Can't remember his name, but I thought it was neat to just throw him in there, see them bump into him, and he gets all angry and upset. Just a little neat. My favorite cameo, with an exception to Darth Vader, is Grand Moff Tarkin. I love they threw him in. Now, okay, when you first see Tarkin, I love it. You see his reflection in the glass. You hear his voice. I have goosebumps as I'm watching this. I'm like, this is so awesome. My nerd radar is just blazing. I love this. Then he turns around and you see his CGI face. I have mixed opinions about that. In all honesty, I like the fact they didn't reshoot him. I do not like it when they get a different actor to reshoot somebody. And one of the things I'm nervous about the Han Solo film. But his CGI face. If I knew it wasn't, if it weren't for the fact I already knew it couldn't really be the real actor, I don't think it would have bothered me. If I knew that, if I hadn't already known the real actor was dead, it probably wouldn't have bothered me. But knowing that, the whole time I'm just thinking this isn't real. Whenever I saw him, I'm like, that's all I could think of. And I think it's just because I knew that couldn't really be him. Not that that's bad. The CGI, not that it was bad, because the CGI is beautiful throughout this whole film. When it comes to the people, or when the planets are, part of the planets and cities are being blown up, it's just beautiful and beautifully done, and it's just really well crafted. Now to probably the cameo that is in the characters that are in every film to date, R2-D2 and C-3PO. Now, theirs was probably the only cameo that I wasn't crazy about. Not that I don't like the characters. I love droids, and they're two of my favorite droids. But where they put him in, I just didn't like. Star Wars Explained has a great way to insert where they could have inserted R2-D2 and C-3PO, and I kind of agree with him. But that's just one of my nitpick things. There's also other great cameos from the squad leaders. Red Leader, Gold Leader, I love those. I just wish we had a cameo from Wedge and Porkins. We could have had more Porkins, and I hate that there wasn't. Because that was just a missed opportunity, I think. But then there's one of the coolest, and then Darth Vader, probably the most obvious cameo. And he has only 2 scenes, and a lot of people are aggravated that he wasn't in it more. I know some people said he was the whole reason that they went to go see it. Which, again, I kind of have mixed feelings. I would have liked to see him more, but I'm glad the way they did it. They used him sparingly. They didn't over-rely on him, and I like that. And the scenes he was in, they were pretty cool. First of all, I want to point out, I predicted he was the one that backed the tank. Obviously, you do not have any... Obviously, I don't have any proof to back up my statement because this is my first video, but trust me, I did. Obviously, because I knew it wasn't Snoke because the books kind of ruled him out, even though that was a fairly popular theory. And I love his castle because that's the original concept idea from the Return of the Jedi, or Revenge of the Jedi at the time. And they were supposed to have Luke and Darth Vader's final battle on his lava castle, but that was later scratched because the technology wasn't quite to the level it needed to be. So I love how they added that in there. And I don't know if anybody knows, this is one of the many Rebels tie-ins that they have. And this one, not really a Rebels tie-in, but how well this new Disney canon, and of all my complaints about Disney and stuff, I love how they're canonizing and simplifying Star Wars, the Star Wars galaxy. And I love how they've been working this up. They've been hinting towards it, but nobody realized it. Nobody's realized it though. I want to start, I don't know if you can remember this far back, but Rebels Season 1 finale. Kanan sacrificed himself to help the other rebels escape, the rest of the Ghost crew to escape. He's been taken to Mustafar. When they ask Hera what's Mustafar, and she says, that's where Jedi go to die. Interesting fact that we know now that Darth Vader's personal castle, headquarters, or base, whatever you want to call it, is on Mustafar. And that makes so much sense. It's one of these little details that flows so well. And that's been set up like more than a year ago, I believe. And that's just awesome. That, if Jedi couldn't crack, send him to the Dark Lord of the Sith himself, Darth Vader. That's just awesome. Little details that they've been working up towards forever. Another, I guess you could call it cameo, is Saw Gerrera himself. Because he's originally a Clone Wars created character. That wasn't widely known at first, but A lot of people have already figured that out thanks to the internet. But a little interesting factoid, in his base, you see a Lasat, the same species that Zeb is. And on Star Wars Rebels Season 2, when Zeb and Agent Kallus are stranded on the moon of Geonosis, he talks about a Lasat who mercilessly killed all his crew, and they're talking about Lasat who worked for Saw Gerrera, that killed and slaughtered all his crew. And just these little details that they've thrown in that make it so cool, and that held to the continuity of Star Wars. That's really cool. And another thing, while I'm at the base, I'm going to go ahead and add in before I forget, is that creature that they use to read the Imperial pilot's mind. A lot of people complain about that, but I love that for one simple fact, that this is a planet of the Jedi. This city, Jedha City, is supposed to be a holy city, kind of the Jerusalem to the Jedi. But I love how on this planet that's strong with the Force, that the animals and creatures are strong with the Force, and they're able to use that connection to read read minds and alter the minds. And I love that, just adding again to the deep lore and time they went to developing this universe. Just awesome. And then also back to Rebels and cameos and ties in. Rebel 1, we knew the ghost ship already appeared in the final battle above Scarif, thanks to one of the many trailers, which I do want to add. Rogue One, they weren't as good with their trailers as The Force Awakens was. Force Awakens had a huge surprise. I don't know about other people, but I wasn't expecting Rey to end up being the Jedi. But Rogue One was less scrupulous with the details and scenes that they put in their trailers. They spoiled the Death Star shooting, which I wish they would have left that up. And they just spoiled a lot of things in the trailers. I mean, what is fairly easy to deduct that the one defected Imperial pilot was going to die too because of the trailers. Just little things. I wish they would have been a little bit better with the trailers. But I understand there's a lot of confusion with reshoots and different things that they couldn't get it all through. But we also knew that the ghost ship also appeared in the Yavin 4 base. You see Chopper in the background of Yavin 4, and you hear his iconic little grouchy sounds. Not super loud, but very mild. And I love that, just reaffirming and confirming the fact that Clone Wars and Rebels are canon. They are considered part of the official Star Wars canon. And I love how they're just re-solidifying that and regrounding that. And you also hear General Syndulla mentioned over the intercom system thing on Yavin 4. And I love that, just reaffirming that Rebels is canon, and that they all are working together to make sure this is all one cohesive canon, and I love that. I go into the story, Jyn Erso's father. I like how they've Star Wars has lately been trying to fill in some of the unanswered questions that they've had, like why does Obi-Wan and Uncle Owen appear a lot older, even though they shouldn't? Why do they appear like 20 to 40 years older when they're only about 16 to 19 years older? And I like how they've been answering that, such as in the novel Ahsoka, where the desert weather, it makes you age faster in appearance, and just little details that they've been really trying to fill in to help cement the fluidity and continuity of the Star Wars universe. And the same goes for one of the biggest complaints people is the exhaust port on the Death Star, and how that's such an obvious weakness. Why didn't they board that up or something? And I like how they made it where, hey, somebody that was forced into working for the Empire that didn't want to built that on purpose as a small enough thing the Empire would overlook, but a critical enough error that could be exploited and used to destroy the system. Now, I was never one to complain about the exhaust port. Why? Well, look at all the exhaust that was produced by one car. Now, this is a base the size of a moon. that's got to put out a lot of exhaust. So it's understandable, and to only have one exhaust port, I think that's a remarkable achievement. So I was never one to really complain about that, but I like how they've even tried to explain that. It's again helping the continuity of it all and just making it one big canon. It's just awesome. And now and then the story's really good. It felt more like a novel than it did a movie, because a novel can jump around a little bit more than a movie can. And with introducing the characters and having all these battles that really should have been broken up into more than a movie, that's again one of the reasons that the movie's good but not great. But I still love the story. It's really awesome. I just wish we had more information about the characters. Now, if you're like me, you've been reading up on the characters, you've done some research because you're a total nerd and have no life, so you know a lot about these characters, so you do have some attachment. But at the same time, you had a feeling that most, if not all, would die, which is what does happen. I wish they could have built up the emotional attachment a little bit more, but they did some. Jin, they really worked her up, and even though you kind of assumed it all along. My favorite character, the protector of the wheels, which, let me get into that real quick. I love that, because the original title for the original movie was supposed to be something along the line of Journal of the Wheels, the story of Luke Starkiller, Episode 1, the Star Wars, which was originally just shortened down to Star Wars. And good thing, that's a super uber long title that who's gonna remember, but besides people like me who have no life. But I love the fact that they've added that in, and they're continually remystifying the Force, which was a big complaint about the prequels. Now, I love the prequels, but I mean, they are heavily flawed. And one of the big problems I have with it is the demystification of the Force, just metachlorians. But in the end, that turned out to be a good thing that I like now, because in Clone Wars, it just contributes to the fact that the Jedi are wrong. They're not right. They're wrong about the war. They're wrong about the Force. There's more. And I kind of like how they did that. You see that in a lot of religions today, where they legalize it. That's kind of like what the Jedi done. And I like that they just kind of add the fact that they are flawed. And now they're continuing. It's really mystical, and they're even contributing to the mystification. And they're just even adding on to how different people and different species, different cultures connect to the Force in different ways. There's magic, like the Night Sisters. There's the Jedi who use the Force, the dark side. There's more than just these light and dark. The Vosat have their own way of connecting to the Force. And now I like how they have those protectors or defenders of the wills, which I think is just really cool. And he, which I cannot pronounce his name to save my life, is probably my favorite character introduced into this film. The blind guy with the staff. Really cool. I love him. He's legit. And I like the way they killed him off. They made it sacrificing themselves. I'm one with the Force is with me. Really good scene, really good footage. Just like this character, really cool character. His friend, really cool. The special effects on his death when they just have the light show up. But anyway. And K2SO, I love them. Sheldon Cooper in the flesh, so to speak. I mean, as I heard as I also heard on one video, can't remember which one, who made it, they were describing him as Gangster C-3PO. He's legit, he's funny. I kind of wish they would have let him live. Of all the characters that live, he was the one that could have gotten away with it. But I understand, and I kind of like at the same time, I kind of like that not just one of them survived. They all were willing to make the sacrifice for the greater good, for the safety of the galaxy. They did a good job. Now, I love the final battle. It's my favorite battle, space battle, in any Star Wars film. It is awesome. You have, it's the same epic scale as the battle at the opening. The battle, of course, not opening up episode 3, but it has all the original trilogy nostalgia and ships and everything that just add to this epicness. And they even bring in Gold Leader, Red Leader, which I love. An interesting thing that a lot of people have noticed too, that Rev 5 gets blown up. Seems sad, but it opens up a spot for Luke to slide in just mere weeks or days later and fill in spots like, hey yo, I'm ready to join the rebellion. Well, thanks, we have a slot needing filled. This guy just died days earlier. I like how they're opening that in, just bringing in some room for Luke to fit in. And the footage they used for the space battle, for the ships, it looked and felt like the original, which was awesome. Just made it more fun, just made it so much fun and cool and so fun to watch. I loved it. And my favorite part of the movie is the Darth Vader horror slasher scene of the movie. I mean, you're in there, they're putting up things, they're so nervous. And I love one, the door is partially closed, that adds to the fact that the ship's been through a lot of damage. It's heavily damaged. It's the ocean region, and you just hear his breathing, and you're like, oh no, you're about to die. And then as soon as you hear that breathing, you know what's next. You're going to have the eerie red glow of the lightsaber, and it does. And this is what I've been wanting from Star Wars for so long. The awesomeness of Darth Vader. Which is one reason I love Rebels. Like in Season 2's premiere, Siege of Lothal, where they show him using the Force to control Ezra's arm and almost kill Ezra with his own arm. Things like that I love. When they show the full power of Vader, when he's not trying to hold back and not kill, like with Luke in episode 5. He was not trying to kill Luke, but capture Luke and freeze him carbonite for the Emperor, so he wasn't fully unleashed. And then by episode 6 he has this internal conflict, so he doesn't want to kill Luke as much there too. But I love here his full hatred, full wrath, full power, and it is everything that I hoped it would be. I mean, I want a horror movie of just Darth Vader doing stuff like that. That I would pay some serious money to go see, because that is awesome. I had goosebumps the whole time. My friend next to me is just leaning forward on the edge. We were all on the edge of our seats. It was just an awesome sequence that I spent 30 minutes to an hour at home on Battlefront trying to replicate that. I never could quite get to the same magnitude of awesomeness. But yeah, and then bring me to the final cameo, Princess Leia, and the person brings her the plans. Now, Tarkin, like I said I probably wouldn't have noticed it was CGI if it weren't for the fact I already knew it couldn't be the legit actor. But I think they had a little bit more wiggle room with Princess Leia, because one, the actress was still alive, and they couldn't use her now for obvious reasons, same way they can't use Harrison Ford for the younger Han Solo, but she does have makeup and stuff, and when they do actually have the real person, they could do a little motion capture with a little tweaking. And I also like how they had, and where she wears makeup, they also had a little wiggle room too there with the quality of the CGI. They could make it look a little bit more realistic, and I like that. And when she says, "What do we have?" and she said, "We have hope." So those were given the hope. My friends and I are just going a new hope, because it's awesome, and it ends and concludes right where episode 4 begins, and the third act of that movie. That's all I could have asked for. It is so awesome. And there's one other character, the main character introduced in the movie, I also want to talk on a little bit, and that's director Orson Krennic. He is a very over-the-top animated villain, which most things I'd be annoyed at, but it's Star Wars. He fits in there. It's fine. And I love how, and I kept waiting for him to go, "You rebel scum," because that's just the type of personality and character I expected. And I love his death, and that sounds horrible, but in the irony of it all, as he looks up at his own creation that's just aimed dead at him. There's irony there, and it's really good. Again, I know that sounds horrible, but I think it's just a well done scene that kind of shows, you kind of get what you deserve. Don't choke on your aspirations. Ba-boom. Which I do have to say, Vader's lines, I don't like his lines. What's odd is, of all the things he said in the movie, the pun was the part I actually liked. His other conversational words, his conversation just doesn't sound like the type of conversation Darth Vader would have. Which is sad, because in Rebels, I love that too, because the way he's saying in Rebels just sounds like something Darth Vader would say. But yet the words he uses in his normal conversation doesn't really sound like Darth Vader. But I do have to admit, I love his line where he does say "don't choke" and stuff like that. It is pretty funny, humorous. It's just sitting around meditating all day. I mean, he doesn't really have. He can't crack jokes a whole lot, but when he does, he does it well. So I believe that concludes my Easter egg hunt of the movie. It's a really good movie. If you haven't watched it yet, I want to ask, why did you watch this whole video? But thank you for watching. If you watched all the way, please like, please subscribe. That'd be awesome. This is my first video, and I hope this is the first of a lot. So may the Force be with you. God bless.